ever-evolving soap opera that is, of course, what's happening over at Royal Lodge.
King Charles is very keen to move Andrew and his ex-wife Fergie on. He doesn't want them to live there anymore.
The affairs of the royal family tells you that we are living in quite bizarre times.
This is a prince who had, until all this stuff happened, you know, he was decorated, his military career.
To be simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with no letters after his name, no styles before his name, and to lose those military connections as well will really stink.
The British royal family is hiding something explosive, and leaked emails are about to blow it wide open. What you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about Prince Andrew. And the timing of these revelations is no coincidence. Right now, a tsunami of coverage is hitting the headlines, and it all traces back to leaked emails that appear to be coming from Ghislaine Maxwell herself. Yes, the same Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently serving time in prison. But here's where it gets interesting. These aren't random leaks. This is calculated, strategic, and the motivation behind it will shock you. Sources close to the situation believe Maxwell is desperately seeking a presidential pardon, or at least a more comfortable arrangement. Think about it. She's a former lover of Prince Andrew, someone who knew all his secrets, and now she's apparently willing to throw him under the bus for her own survival. But the real bombshell, this might all be connected to protecting someone much more powerful. The theory goes like this. Donald Trump is worried about what Andrew might reveal. By discrediting the prince now, and any future testimony or revelations from him become less credible. It's a classic move. Destroy the witness before they can speak. And Maxwell? She's earning brownie points with the right people by orchestrating this takedown.
So damaging about this email is that it actually highlights the cynicism in which he's approached this.
He's living in disgrace. He was stripped of his royal duties, and part of that is he's not really being paid by the monarchy anymore because he doesn't complete any royal duty.
King Charles is battling with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson to convince the Yorks to move out of the Royal Lodge.
Political violence is not a solution. It is not an answer to disagreement over policy.
What's happened with Andrew losing his title and now her losing Duchess of York, it just proves that the York brand is totally toxic.
But let's dive into what these emails actually reveal, because this is where things get truly damaging. Prince Andrew's own words in these communications suggest he absolutely knew Virginia Giuffre. Remember when he claimed on television that he'd never met her? That the infamous photograph was fake? Well, these emails tell a completely different story. He was worried about photographs coming out. He knew exactly who she was. The evidence has always been overwhelming. Independent witnesses, testimony, flight logs from Epstein's private jet nicknamed Lolita. But now we have it in Andrew's own words. This man has a long history of lying, and he's gotten away with it for decades. Not anymore. Here's something that will turn your stomach. Investigators have uncovered evidence that Andrew actually chose Virginia from a catalogue of photographs. Multiple sources confirm that Ghislaine Maxwell would circulate books of photos, and wealthy men would select who they wanted to meet, like ordering from a menu. This 17-year-old girl was ordered like takeaway food. But it gets worse. Much worse. New information reveals that Prince Andrew somehow obtained Virginia Giuffre's date of birth and social security number. He then allegedly asked a protection officer, paid for by British taxpayers, to run a background check on her. This isn't just morally reprehensible, it's potentially criminal. We're talking about violations of data protection laws, malfeasance in public office, and abuse of power at the highest levels. The question everyone's asking, how much legal trouble is Prince Andrew actually in? Well, beyond the data protection violations, there's potential sex trafficking charges. Virginia was underage at the time. The Metropolitan Police have been asked to investigate this 3 separate times, and each time they've said there's nothing to see. But public opinion is shifting dramatically. We're at a tipping point. The British public is way ahead of the palace on this issue, just like they were during the death of Princess Diana. Nearly 2/3 of the population want Andrew's titles removed. They want him investigated, charged, and many believe he should be detained at His Majesty's pleasure. That's British speak for thrown in prison. But here's where the corruption goes even deeper. During his decade as Special Representative for Trade and Investment from 2001 to 2011, Andrew allegedly abused his position to help business associates make deals in China and the Middle East, while conducting his own private business on the side. This is financial corruption at the highest level of the monarchy. The palace has been covering for him for years. When Andrew was supposedly at official events, according to the court circular, flight logs show he was actually visiting Epstein. They literally falsified records to protect him. The Queen herself would give him honours immediately after each new scandal broke. Complaints were ignored. When the press tried to investigate, palace lawyers would threaten them. With the Queen's passing, Andrew has lost his greatest protector. King Charles promised their mother he'd take care of Andrew, but nobody in the royal family actually likes him. He's made enemies on the way up. Prince William absolutely despises him. You could see it in his face at recent events. William is much more ruthless about protecting the monarchy's reputation, and there's even talk of Andrew being banned from the coronation. Sarah Ferguson's role in all this is equally shocking. The woman the public saw as slightly ditzy but good-hearted. She was allegedly indebted to Epstein for around £2 million, not the $15,000 she claimed. She called $100,000 her small bills. At one point, she was £5 million in debt. The depth of deception is staggering. But perhaps the most chilling revelation comes from an email Andrew sent to Epstein in 2011, right before that photograph was about to surface. He wrote, "We're in this together. Stay in touch and we'll play again soon." 4 exclamation marks. When you understand what playing meant in Epstein's world, it's absolutely stomach-churning. Epstein himself called Andrew the only person more perverted than me, and nicknamed him the King of Kink. Housekeepers describe Andrew as a regular guest at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse, where an entire suite of rooms called the Britannia Suite was reserved just for him. The British public is finally starting to believe what Virginia Giuffre has been saying for years. She withstood massive attacks on her character, sophisticated PR campaigns to discredit her, people claiming the photographs were fake. The Maxwell family was paying people to destroy her reputation. Even after all that pressure, everything she said has been proven true. Tragically, much of this vindication is coming after her death. The circumstances surrounding her passing remain mysterious, with very little information released. Those who knew her say she was excited about her book publication and was a strong woman, though she was dealing with marital problems. After years of intimidation and character assassination, perhaps it all finally caught up with her. So where does Prince Andrew go from here? Some believe he might flee to a country without an extradition treaty. He's been offered a palace in Abu Dhabi and has protectors throughout the Middle East. Thailand is another option, a place where he used to have fun, according to sources. There are even long-standing rumors about activities there that would shock even more than what we already know. The investigation has also revealed endemic corruption that goes far beyond just Andrew. When ABC News tried to investigate, the palace threatened to cut off access to the royal family. Police were bought off. Lawyers intimidated witnesses. This isn't just about one rogue royal. It's about an entire system of protection and cover-up. What's truly pathetic is Andrew's complete lack of self-awareness. Staff members report that the only thing he really cares about is no longer being able to appear on the Buckingham Palace balcony or wear his ceremonial robes. He has no identity beyond being a prince, no contrition for trafficked victims, no shame for what he's brought upon the monarchy. Both Andrew and Sarah Ferguson are narcissists who've spent their lives seeking attention. Even at the recent Duchess of Kent's funeral, where they should have been background figures, they tried to ham it up for the cameras. No sense of decorum, no self-awareness, just an endless need to be the center of attention. The emails and documents being released now are just the tip of the iceberg. The Epstein files contain thousands of pages. More sealed depositions will be unsealed. More witnesses will come forward. This is only the beginning of the end for this couple. Sarah Ferguson has disappeared from public view, and for good reason. Her entire identity and income depended on being the Duchess of York. Without that title, without that royal connection, how will she maintain her luxurious lifestyle? History suggests she'll get involved with even more questionable figures to keep the money flowing. As for Andrew, he's still in complete denial. He feels hard done by, cannot understand why everyone's picking on him. His sense of entitlement is so complete that he genuinely doesn't comprehend what he's done wrong. Anyone who's ever tried to tell him the truth has seen their career destroyed. Naval officers who criticized him found their careers stalled. Ambassadors who complained were posted to hardship positions. Protection officers who spoke up found themselves back on the beat in rough neighborhoods. The monarchy itself is at a crossroads. This infection has spread into the wider body politic. Editorials are warning that the monarchy is in peril. The government is refusing to give parliamentary time to remove Andrew's titles, despite massive public support for doing so. If they don't get ahead of this scandal with drastic action, the damage could be irreversible. What makes this particularly dangerous for the royals is that we're in a different era now. The press is emboldened. People aren't scared anymore. New commissioners are in charge of the police. The public won't tolerate another cover-up. The same forces that exposed Harvey Weinstein and others are now turning their attention to the British establishment. Every day brings new revelations. Former staff members, diplomats, military personnel, they're all talking now. They were appalled by the cover-up and how Andrew was protected. Stories about his activities in places like Mongolia and Libya that were previously unknown. Details about his romantic life that would shock even those who think they've heard everything. The saddest part? None of this had to happen. If Andrew had shown genuine contrition, if he'd cooperated with authorities, if he'd thought about the victims instead of himself, things might be different. But narcissists don't change. They just find new ways to play the victim while real victims suffer in silence. This scandal represents the greatest threat to the British monarchy in living memory. Not because of what one man did, but because of how the institution protected him. Every lie, every cover-up, every threat against journalists and witnesses, it all adds up to a pattern of corruption that goes to the very heart of the establishment. The British people deserve better. They deserve a monarchy they can respect, not one that harbors criminals and silences victims. They deserve transparency, not cover-ups. They deserve justice, not protection for the privileged few. As more emails emerge, as more witnesses come forward, as more documents are unsealed, the full scope of this scandal will become clear. And when it does, the reverberations will be felt not just in Buckingham Palace, but in palaces and penthouses around the world where the powerful thought they were untouchable. The age of accountability has arrived, and even princes aren't exempt. The question now isn't whether Andrew will face justice, but when. And when that day comes, all those who protected him, who enabled him, who chose their own comfort over the truth, they'll have to answer for their choices too. This story is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. Every revelation leads to new questions. Every answer uncovers new lies. The House of Cards is collapsing, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.